My name is Mark Hartmann. I am a director and the chief operating officer of Blackjack Silver Corporation. And so we are a private company that has the operations, underground operations properties in Butte, Montana. Blackjack Silver, again, is a private company, and we have a great property position in the great historic, massive underground operations near Butte, Montana. So we have the historic Anaconda underground operations that are under our control, a great majority of them. And we have just a massive amount of data that's been provided to us through Anaconda's workings. And we have been able to assimilate that data and utilize it to promote the company. We have, again, the Anaconda data that we have available to us is just massive, and so we've been working diligently recently to put it into a 3D database, and so we have a 3D model of the workings and of the resources, and so our plan is to be an underground mine and with mining being above the water table. And the advantage for that, of course, not only is in a cost standpoint, but also from a permitting standpoint. If we don't have to permit a water discharge, permitting just gets so much easier for everybody. The property was mined by Anaconda companies or predecessors to Anaconda starting in the late 1880s, and mined very, very aggressively. There was a total of 540 shafts in the Butte district. We don't control all of them, but just a massive amount of underground mining. As a result of that, it ultimately became a Superfund site. The area that we plan on working in from an underground standpoint will have a very limited footprint. It's a very brownfield site. There's been no remediation, and there's no plans for remediation in the areas that we plan to disturb. We have no liability from past actions. That's been all resolved. So we're going to be right adjacent to the Berkeley pit, in again a very, very brownfield. We'll be away from the community, so there will be no visibility of our operations to the community. It's a great opportunity for the community. So Montana Resources is about 24% of the Butte economy, and so if we have a similar sized workforce to Montana Resources, I mean, you can see the massive potential that is there for the city of Butte, the city and community of Butte Silver Bow. So the historic resource that's there is about 300 million silver equivalent ounces, just a massive amount of ounces. And that comes from the Anaconda historical, what they call developed and probable, which would be the same as proven and probable of today. And so what we have done is we did a small drill program to try to prove up the information that we thought was there, and it did prove exactly what we hoped was there. And in fact, we even found some veins near surface. When I say near surface, they're about 300 feet deep, that have an interval width of about 40 feet thick of interval thickness, and it runs about 13-ounce silver equivalent. So we did a drill program, but maybe most importantly is we have taken the thousands of maps that Anaconda provided, I mean over 10,000 maps, digitized them, and have taken tens of thousands of stope assays, face assays from the mine and put them into the computer model. We've identified a minimum of 93 veins. We identified 93 veins and then stopped trying to advance that portion of it. 53 of those veins are being used in the resource model that's being built right now. So, what a great advantage for us to have a very shallow, from surface to about 1,000-foot depth will be our mining focus. So it's shallow, it's cheap, it's accessible by either shaft or ramp or both. Very likely going to be both for us. And with that, then we're hopeful to have our resource estimate literally any day now. So obviously the resource estimate is to come out soon. We have an internal estimate, and so And the 300 plus million silver equivalent ounces, our resource isn't going to be that big simply because we haven't digitized and input all of the data into the database yet. So we have 3 people full-time on our staff, plus a group of college students that are inputting data, and so that process is likely to take at least another 6 months. Once we get all the data in, that's when the resource is going to be full and complete. And so our plan going forward is, once we get the resource estimate, if it is sufficient size, then our plan is to do a PEA. We also had planned this fall to do an IPO, but as everyone knows, the market has tanked, and so now is not good timing for an IPO. Depending on the financing and the interest that we have by several companies, we could proceed, once the PEA is done, we could proceed toward permitting. We could also proceed toward a second phase of exploration, whether it's underground work or more drilling. At some point we theoretically could do a pre-feasibility study. It really depends on markets. It depends on the financing of availability that we have, and it depends on how aggressive some of the investors want to get with us clearly identifying the quantity and quality of the resource. We know that it's a massive amount. We have a very, very clear idea metallurgically what's required. We have a great idea what the quantity and quality are in a global sense, meaning that we know that it's going to be about this grade, about this tonnage, if not more. So we don't have to go out and find an ore body. The ore body is there. We don't have to go out and discover the metallurgical requirements. There's been 100 years of metallurgy already done on this. So at this point, it's really the risks are going to be financing and permitting. Permitting being that we're going to have zero discharge, and we very likely may put all tailings underground. That makes permitting very easy. We're in a very brownfield environment, and we are permitting with the state of Montana and not the federal government. So no Forest Service involved, no BLM involved, it's just the state of Montana. So a great advantage for us we're shallow, low cost. We also have, when we went into this, we expected, the last company that was in there was mining veins that were typically about 4 feet wide. We have further examination of the data shows that the veins are from 4 feet and maybe as much as 60 feet in width. And so our expertise is narrow vein underground mining, and so the 4 feet vein thicknesses didn't bother us at all. But now we have the opportunity with good vein thicknesses, low-cost mining opportunities. And so it's just, the opportunities at this project are just endless for us. And we're very, very excited about what we have. When you think of Blackjack silver, I would like to think that historic resources that are available are north of 300 million silver equivalent ounces. Most junior companies only dream about numbers that big, and very few, if any, ever achieve getting a resource that's that big. The operating companies, very, very few operating companies in the country have ever achieved a resource that's that big. So the resource that we have is the size of the historic Sunshine Mine in the Silver Valley, or bigger, twice the size of the Comstock lode in Nevada. Just a great story. We're a private company. If you want to get on board the train, now's the time, because the train's leaving the station.